Hi everybody. I think this is going to be a very unusual and unique video. It's unlike any I not only have actually done but even planned. But here we go. I'm going to go for it anyway. I could call it a philosophy video. I'm not really sure exactly what all the terminology would be, but I'm going to just start. Hi, good to see you guys, or good to be seen by you guys, or both. I'm going to talk about something I just now made up today I'm calling existence theory, or ET, but not extraterrestrial, existence theory. I want to discuss two possibilities in existence theory, but don't forget that with any two possibility decision, there's always three choices we have to believe choice A, to believe choice B, or not to decide, which is itself choice C. But anyway, that's his philosophy. In existence theory, I'm going to put out two possible scenarios. And usually, a lot of times when I watch a lecture or see a lecture, they wait to the end to say what the letters are and the mnemonics to remember things. And then you think, oh man, that's a hard thing to remember. Am I going to even remember it? Well, I'm going to start with the mnemonics and then explain them so you don't get that heavy load of when you're done, oh my gosh, what if I forget that? The mnemonics are these. And bear with me, this is something I just thought of today, basically. I'm going to call, first one is, starts with C, and then F, and then C. Okay, now C, first C is cause. But related to cause is causeless, because that's the sense I'm going to be using the C in. But it actually, C is cause, but it can also be causeless. F is force, and C is creation. Okay, let's talk about definitions. For cause, I define a cause as, the acronym could be MISS, MRS, a method, a reason, or a source for something happening. So either a method that something happens by, a reason something occurs or occurred, or a source from which or by which that thing occurred or whatever. So causeless is the opposite of that. Causeless would mean something that doesn't have a method of origin or reason of origin or source of origin. Fair enough. I didn't Google all of that, but that's just my definition of what I mean by cause. Force is an energy, entity, or principle by which something is created or brought into existence. Let's just call it that, force. Creation is something that exists, but that didn't always exist. Something that came to exist, but does exist. Fair enough. Those are basic terms. I'm going to erase those so I have more room on the board, but because I've already covered those. Now, as far as the choices, the two choices in existence theory, plus I want to talk about what I mean by existence theory. The two choices of existence theory involve those three letters, causeless, let's just say words, causeless, force, and creation, and they also involve these three that all start with B. First, B. First one is Bible, meaning what the Bible story is. And second, two B's are actually one, the Big Bang, okay? Both these things are related to existence theory. So fair enough? All right, we've said that. I just wrote it out in case some people are more visual than oral. You know, you can't even hear what I'm saying, but at least you can read it or combine the two. Now I want to talk about what I mean by existence theory real quickly. I mean the theory of how we came to be, or how anything that exists came to be. That could even could be applied to God, but it can be applied to many things, to ourselves, the creation of the universe, and all kinds of things. And then that's existence theory, ET. I don't have to write out existence theory. You guys can hear me. Now, existence theory seems to be a combination of two things that start with S. Spiritual science. the fusion or combination of science and spirituality. One could say religion, but whatever. And before I go on about my specific thought on existence theory, let me just say a thought that I think of something that already exists that I think is already existence theory. There's something called quantum mechanics that's been around for about 100 years, as far as I know. I didn't Google that. I'm not sure the exactness of that, but about 100 years, most of man, and especially educated man, has believed, or there's been evidence by man for, or at least discovered by man, for the existence of atoms, which no single human has ever, with unaidedly, seen a single atom, and yet we are quantum mechanics. Basically, includes the idea that we're all made from these atoms, which is kind of already spiritual science, because it's science because we believe it based on math and our senses and our minds, but it's spiritual in the sense that we can't see what we're believing in. So just by seeing a human and knowing, and at the same time knowing quantum mechanics or believing that it could be true or is true, is already spiritual science, because you're basically looking at something that you agree exists, but yet you can't see the parts that make it up. That defines that implies explicitly or implicitly or both or whatever, that you can believe in something that doesn't exist, or you can believe in something you can't see and not be wrong or labeled crazy or whatever. And that's been around for about 100 years because we've believed in quantum mechanics for about that long. We're not made of thick, globby massness. We are made of individual, intricate pieces of submatter that we call atoms, which no human has unaidedly seen. Yet we all, or a lot of people, or most people, and with reason, believe that we're made up of these very things. So that's already pseudo, at least, if not direct, spiritual science. Now I'm going to lay out my two choices within my spiritual science idea, but don't forget that implies three reactions: believe choice A, believe choice B, or don't decide. But a little pre-thought on what I believe about that kind of stuff. A good scientist, to me, doesn't tell the listener what to think or what to believe, but just gives them information to make their own well deserved, earned, or at least given ability to think what they want. Nobody can or should even want to tell somebody what to think or what to believe, but at least a good teacher or scientist can tell someone the parameters or the principles behind such a belief or choice. And then the Einstein never said, believe in my theory of relativity. He just presented it and you can believe it or not. But he also gave very good evidence for it. And some might say he didn't, but whatever. He doesn't make he didn't violate freedom of choice to think what you want, and yet he was still a great mind and scientist and teacher. So that kind of thing. All right, so here we go. Now, remember our first three letters were causeless, force, and creation. Which one am I going to apply first? I'm going to do the Bible-based one first. That's 1B, okay? Bible. The other is 2B's, Big Bang. I'm going to do Bible first, just because it just occurs to me that might be the best way to do it. Bible includes all three letters, C, F, and C. Let me explain. So we have causeless, that's the first C. We have force, that's the F. And we have creation, that's the second C. Now watch this. According to, if you want to, according to the Bible story, there is a causeless force. Well, let me explain what that is and what we call it. First of all, when I say causeless force, I'm talking about a force. A force is something that brings something to be or causes something to exist, and that could be some really great, powerful thing or being. But I said causeless. A causeless force would have no reason of existence, no reason to come into be, or to have to exist, or to have been or to have existed, or even to exist. In other words, a force that exists without a cause. But if a force exists without a cause, then one explanation or possibility or example of that would be if one thing with a force always existed, because a force that always existed wouldn't have a cause to be created or to exist. And what do we call a force that always existed? And a force specifically that could create something, we call that God. I don't know, call it egg, call it yogurt, but most people call it God, and it's been called God. So let's call the causeless force God, for lack of a better word, and let's just call it that. So a causeless force could be God. Now then there's the second, the third letter, creation. Okay, a causeless force, God, created the universe. So basically, the universe was created by a causeless force, which we call God, which is another way of saying God created the universe, and that backs up the Bible story. So that's option number one. I'm not telling you what to believe, I'm just laying out the parameters. Anyway, second option, I'm going to call that the Big Bang, BB. That's Big Bang. But with Big Bang, you don't have an F, you have C and C. So you have two B's, Big Bang, but you only have C and C, you don't have an F. But for Bible, you have C, F, and C. So either case, you have 4 letters. I don't know why that's important, but it's just a funny little thing. So yeah, with Big Bang, you have causeless, and you have creation. Let me explain what I mean by that. If you don't already know, if you're really good and at home listening to this, you might already know what I'm going to say, which is really cool. I like that. I like thinkers, and I like people that can think ahead and even beat me at it, or beat me at it. You don't have to say even. Causeless creation. Okay, let me write this. Creation. According to the Big Bang Theory, we see creation and we're part of creation. So something, there is a creation. So the universe exists. That's why I call it this existence theory. We exist, the universe exists. There is a creation. How did it get here? Causeless. The universe and us came into existence without cause, because Big Bang has no cause, it's the definition of the theory. And therefore, there's no method, reason, or force that caused, therefore, by definition, causeless, the universe and or us to exist. So everything we see that exists happened for no cause, no reason, no method, and no force of creation, of no creatorship or no force involved. And we just happen to exist, and the label or word or theory they give to that is the Big Bang theory, that literally the Big Bang just came from nothing, and voila, we all exist. Okay, that's the other possibility. You have two. Either a causeless force, God, created the universe, or the universe is a causeless creation. So it's your choice. And or even not to make a choice. And you don't even have to watch this video. That's another choice. Don't even listen to me. But whatever. And we all have that choice. That's what that kind of thing. We all have the 3 choices, one or the other, or not even decide. And that's if you even listen to the theory in the first place. And if you don't, well, then that could be I don't know if that's a choice. It's just a situation. Let me just make a couple of things just to add. First of all, there's a couple of funny paradoxes and maybe even evidence of these different ideas. I don't want to go on and on about it, but let's just say a couple things. First of all, if you believe in a causeless creation, ask yourself, or let me ask myself, have you ever, or what would you think of somebody walking outside and just seeing a car appear out of nowhere? That's a causeless creation. Well, if you believe in the Big Bang, that's completely possible. And do you really think that? Or another fun example, ask somebody, well, how'd that happen? And they say, no reason. How often do you really believe that? Maybe it's true, but do you really buy that when someone says no reason? Nothing happened, nothing. Well, that's a funny thing. And then the other idea is that something that's logical, such as believing in a causeless force creating the universe and us, can actually be stigmatized, even though it's probably likely more true than the other one. I'm not saying it is, but it might be. And if it might be, it still might be stigmatized. People think someone is odd for believing that God created the universe, but the paradox of that is it doesn't make just because people think a belief is odd does not make that belief not true. And but it does put pressure on both sides. It puts pressure on the people that don't want people thinking of God, or to try to stop the people from thinking of God, and puts pressure on the people that want to think there's a God directly from people that don't want them to think there's a God. So a lot of funny thing. For that, I just want to give one anecdote in my own life. When I grew up in the 80s, and every soul on earth was doing drugs, alcohol, and smoking, or some form of the other, or all three, or two of the three, or everybody was doing it, and I didn't. For some dumb reason, I didn't. I won't go into on and on about it, but think about that example. I was odd and persecuted and picked on or thought different or weird or funny for not doing drugs, alcohol, and smoking. And yet that did not make me wrong to not do drugs, alcohol, or smoke, because now I'm 56 and I'm healthy and I have my own hair. I don't diet. I'm healthy, blah, blah, blah. I'm still here. I can think. I'm active. I'm functioning. I walk it, whatever. I don't know that everyone that did drugs, alcohol, or smoked, the people, some of them I actually knew, are even here, or much less in good health, or even here on good terms or in a good condition. So that's an example in my own life, that just because something is unpopular, weird, or thought of as weird, or persecuted, or thought of as weird, or whatever, doesn't make it wrong, not only at the time, but especially in the end when things have played out. It looked like I was funny and different, but now I'm still walking around okay. And a lot of people that did those things are considered normal or good or normal or right aren't. So don't be careful about peer pressure and people thinking or saying, that if you do this or that, we think this or that of you, when really you might be right despite whatever they say. In fact, it's sometimes my experience that an entity or peers often don't have your best interests at heart. It seems to me like sometimes the things that people put on other people are the things that aren't good for them, and the things that people want to take from other people are the things that are good from them. For them, I don't know. It's just a feeling I have, a thought I have, or even beliefs. When someone really tries to force a belief up down my throat, it's a different feeling. Maybe like that's not something I really should believe, as opposed to if they don't care if I believe it, or give me the choice, or maybe even take it or leave it. Then I feel differently about that belief. Maybe that belief might be good for me. But when someone pushes something on me, whether it's peer pressure or whether it's even going to church and hearing a sermon, I always got put off by that, because why would somebody want what's best for me? In fact, a lot of times when people want me to believe, and that could be peers or it could be whatever, to believe something, it's not necessary. I never got the feeling it was for me or my best interest. I was literally peer pressured into trying. They tried to get me to do drugs at Harvey Mudd. They had a club called Brain Damage, and they wanted me to join when I was a freshman. Tried to get me a White Russian, which I thought was a girl for a while. When I realized it wasn't, I got the heck out. For 10 minutes, I literally thought they were talking about a girl. No, they're not. It's a drink. I never did it. And they ostracized me from then on. Never looked at me again. And now they may not even be here. They might be all screwed up. Anyway, love you guys. Working with peace.